How's everyone doing today? Who's ready to learn about getting your hook in the door? Awesome. Before we get started, just to make sure it's super clear, no phones, no camcorders, no audio recordings. This is super secret advice. You can't get out online. Keep it in your heads. Without further ado, I would like to introduce to you a few people. Gabriel Brown. Next up, you all know who she is, Monique Creber! Good girl. Yeah. What's up?
Oh, no, I actually fell.
Did you hurt yourself?
Ooh, I'm going to make a tiny paper airplane while he pronounces. That's the word I was just about to say, intronounces.
Next up is Nate Brown. Stacy! And last but most certainly not least, Monique Creber. Changing plans. They're cool with you recording.
We don't, we're not saying you need to, we don't.
Yeah.
Unless it's a convention policy, we're not.
If you're not recording,
Well, good morning, everybody. Yeah.
Good morning.
I like how everybody's like on the last day. Good morning.
First day it's hi,
Yeah, by the end, closing ceremonies, everyone's going to be fine.
So, what we're going to do is just give you, for those of you who see some fresh faces here and some very familiar faces.
Yeah, how many of you were at the concert last night?
Wow, that's impressive that you all got up this morning and are here.
I thought we had 9 minutes when lecture this morning. Okay.
Thank you very much for coming out. And what we thought was we'd just do a quick review then of some of our background. Each person will do that, and that gives you some information. Some of you know each of us as, in one particular vein of the industry and don't realize that we do other things too. So we'll give you a little background about what each of us does, because we're all sort of multi-directional in the entertainment industry. And what was that? Good word. Oh, thank you, dear.
She's counting us.
Impressive for this early.
Impressive for early. And then we're going to open the floor to questions, because we assume you're here because you're interested in the industry in some way and would like some help with direction. So that's what we're here for. And that's how this panel came up. We've done this panel at many conventions now because the questions regarding the entertainment industry have been some of the most popular questions we've gotten in person and online over the last few years. So we also do Skype. What'd she do? What'd she do? Oh, great. There we go.
I'm going to name that the boomerang.
All right, let's start with Gabriel Brown.
It's not like farther than the table.
My name is Gabriel Brown. What was I talking about?
You're supposed to. Do you want me to start or do you want to start?
I can start if I know what I'm talking about.
You're just telling them the different avenues of the entertainment industry that you work
What
in.
do I do?
Yes, what
I
do
make
you
paper
do?
airplanes.
Besides that,
Clearly, very professionally. That's his main attribute.
I actually won a paper airplane competition to who could throw it the shortest. Mine went backwards. So I'm a musician, as many of you guys know. I've been a professional musician for a while. Actually, Nathaniel and I started out when I was 10 and he was 8. And we actually had a relatively successful Christian band when I was 12 and he was 10, where we actually got to tour and the U.S. and play in different states and stuff. And we got to perform for industry professionals in Nashville, which was cool. Then when we moved to Alaska, we got with Oikyo, which is like a little independent label. Yeah, and then I joined the Navy, and I thought I was done with music. I joined the Navy for the SEAL program. I got accepted, and then I broke my leg in a skydiving accident. That's actually the second time, but that's when I got flushed out. And I ended up being an MU, and I became the lead singer of the 7th Fleet Band, which is a Navy band stationed out in Yokosuka, Japan. And I got to tour Asia performing like top 40 stuff, which was really fun. And then I got accepted into the Election Brigade, which is the Naval Academy and presidential bands. They play for the president and for White House stuff. And that job was mine, but when sequestration happened, the Election Brigade experienced huge budget cuts. The reason is because Nathaniel was at the Naval Academy at that time. He started his own band and started taking the Election Brigade's gigs. So, yeah,
I'm so sorry for your job.
even though Nathaniel and I joined the Navy, he joined to be a fighter pilot and I joined to be a Navy SEAL, we both ended up doing music and we both ended up affecting each other's career even though we were on other sides of the planet, which is kind of weird. So
That's
anyway,
a brotherly connection.
yes,
Yeah.
we sabotage each other even when we're not trying.
And all the while writing Immortal.
Right, we were writing Immortal during that whole thing. So I got out of the Navy, went up to Vancouver, got my permanent residency over the course of a year, because in order to work in Canada, you need to be a resident or get a visa, but that's expensive. So I became a resident, and yeah, so now I'm a voice actor. And I
Tell them about your latest smash.
My latest smash?
Yeah.
Smash.
If you guys didn't know.
Smash, okay. I recently found out that I was on Finding Dory, which is the sequel to that was kind of cool. I got to be a loon, which wasn't a stretch. Came kind of naturally for me. Method acting. Yeah, actually it was a crazy loon, so I hope the
Named Becky. It was a female loon.
Yeah, a crazy female loon.
That's crazy.
Okay, now you talk.
Well, hail. I grew up in a very, very musical home. My parents ran a music school called Creber Music. And so from the day I was born, basically, I was, introduced to
She came out and went,
I'm here! Yeah, so, ever since I was like this big.
Knee-high to a grasshopper.
Yeah, watching, exactly.
now that you're this big, you're professional.
I was just always watching my parents, teach kids music, and then when I was old enough, aka like 2, I was up on stage. Literally, like my grandma was at my graduation. She was talking about how they did this massive Christmas show in Vancouver. We did this annually, and when I was 2, I had to sit in the audience and watch. But I was so anxious to go on stage that they let me like run up in this massive
3,000 seat
yeah,
theater.
3,000 seat theater that was like filled with people at the end of this massive Christmas show, and there I was like, I'm up there! I need to be there! And so I just sort of grew up in that environment, and then I did a lot of musical theater, and I booked a voice acting gig as like an animal on a Disney lullaby CD when I was like 4. And then for 7 years, starting when I was like 5, I did a program called Mason, which was this great course on how to, for Japanese children to learn English. I did a bunch of stuff for them. And then when I was 7, I booked a voice acting agent. Well, actually, ironically, I didn't get a voice acting agent. I got a film and TV agent, but I got my first gig in voiceover from that agent because this production was struggling so much to find voices for this new Charlie Brown series. They went to LA and New York and all this kind of stuff. They eventually opened it up to, film and TV agents, which was crazy.
And
So
we
yeah,
got it to
ironically,
Vancouver.
yeah, and then I got an actual voice acting agent, and then I just kept going and did film and TV and all this kind of stuff. And I'm also a dancer. So yeah.
You didn't finish that story, so she booked the role of Lucy in Charlie Brown webisode series. That was the end of the story. They were looking for someone who could match the voice of the Lucy on the original 1963 A Charlie Brown Christmas. And they tried LA, they tried New York, and they tried Toronto, and they couldn't find a child who could match that voice. And then they brought it to Vancouver, and she didn't even have a voice agent, but her film, because they were having so much trouble, they opened it up to all agents, even if they weren't voiceover artists, and that was the first major thing that she booked. Oh.
So I'm Nate, and I like coffee, and I like music. I'll just go through it real fast. I started playing classical piano when I was about 8. Started doing a bunch of competitions. Got to the national level actually in classical piano when I was in middle school. Then I quit because I hated it. And then I started doing jazz piano. And then Gabe and I started doing some music like he talked about. And then I was going to go to school for music. I was going to go to college for music. And the Naval Academy came and asked me if I wanted to go there for free. So I said, yeah. So I went to the Naval Academy, graduated from there, and I was a pilot for a year. I hated that too, so I quit. So you're repeating the theme of my story. And now I'm a hydrographer in the Navy. I'm a lieutenant junior grade, and I'm liking it a lot. And I just recently started being a professional songwriter producer. Stopped kind of being an artist and started focusing on my writing career, trying to be Max Martin. If you know me and don't know Max Martin, then you don't know me well enough. Max Martin is the man. Look him up, he's great. Anyway, yeah, so that's what I've done. I've worked obviously for Gabe and Michelle. I worked for Natalie Sharp, who's an amazing singer. I got to do some work with Sarah McLachlan, thanks to Chris Potter. So yeah, just making my way as a producer right now.
You have actually sung on some very popular EDM songs online too, but you don't like talking about
that. Yeah, I don't talk about that.
Yeah.
That's the secret life of a basic.
Well, if you can find him, he's got a great voice. Go on his channel, seriously, if you haven't. He's got a lot of good music.
And I'm Monique Creber, and I started when I was a child really wanting to be a performer and keyboard player. So I started in pop and contemporary style keyboard training in Oregon, and started singing in school musicals and in bands when I was in high school, and then I started working in a music store and I started teaching music when I was 16. So I have been teaching for over 30 years now and coaching, and for a long while I had a music school in Winnipeg, Manitoba in Canada, with 500 students in piano, organ, and keyboard. And then I moved to the West Coast, and I got more into coaching vocals and choirs and producing and directing musicals and that type of thing. I'm also a session singer, and that means as well, Gabe and Michelle are also session singers. A lot of people don't realize there's a big difference between being a performance singer and a session singer. So the skills that you use to be a live performer, a lot of them are different than the skills that you need to function well in a studio. And so there are lots of great singers that actually are not called in to do sessions because they don't know how to function with the gear in there and how things work, or they don't read music properly, or they don't learn by ear quick enough. And ideally you can do all those things really well if you're going to function well in the studio, because studios typically cost money and sometimes a lot of money, and you have to learn stuff often on the fly, like you're just given it and you sing it right away, it's recorded, it's done, you don't rehearse it in advance. Whereas performances and musicals and concerts and all that is completely done a different way. And the way you function on stage is completely different because you have to be a performer. In the studio, you can just be very much yourself in this tiny space, and it doesn't matter how animated you are, as long as what's coming out here is good. So as I said, I'm also, so I do a lot of coaching, I am a performer, I'm a session singer, and now a lot of my work is as a manager. Once Michelle became really involved with the industry, and she said she started really young. I was actually recording my own album when I was pregnant with her, so she really was getting music nonstop from conception. And I would feel her kicking, trying to do concerts and things. And we took her to her first concert. Her dad, my husband, is also a musician. He's a great piano player, producer. He was the co-writer of Banana Phone, for those of you who know that classic song.
Grammy nominated.
Was nominated for a Grammy for that song, and toured with Raffi and Katie Lang and all sorts of great artists. So Michelle really did grow up in a very musical home, and when she was 6 weeks old, I just thought, well, I'm not going to stop going to concerts and things, and so I took her to her daddy's gig at 6 weeks in her little basket, and and we would take her to musicals. I remember a lot of times people go, why would you waste your money buying tickets for a musical for this little 2-year-old or 3-year-old? Because it's education, she loves it, and and if she tried to take her out, but usually she was just watching it like this, soaking it all in, this tiny little sponge that seemed to never be able to stop taking it in. So if there's any parents out there who are here because you want some advice on getting your kids involved, immersion seriously is the #1 piece of advice I can give you. Immersion in quality stuff. Take them to concerts, take them to musicals, take them to plays, take them, let them get them involved in acting courses and programs through school and church and community centers and all of that, and lessons if you can afford it, all that kind of stuff. So that is our background,
Boring
sort of the summary of it. So I was going to just say a lot of my time now is management. So I manage Michelle and I manage Gabe, as well as a few other clients, and we spend a lot of time traveling and talking to people.
But to
like
clear up
you do.
confusion, she's not our agent. People think Monique is.
Oh, that's a very good point. Yeah, agents
There's a
and managers
difference,
are a lot different.
Managers are deal more on a personal level with their clients, and kind of help in any. Yep, I'm very eloquent.
Well, managers deal with like branding and,
Yes.
and the person themselves and care
Exactly,
about
which is
what-
why Monique is here with us. Well, also she's here as a guest, but we typically work much more closely together.
Yeah.
Our agents work more closely with the studios and the casting directors that are looking for talent. So the agents get the breakdowns from different people who are searching for talent, and then send the auditions to the appropriate people on their roster.
and negotiate contracts.
Negotiate contracts.
and all
So
that.
Michelle and I do have the same manager and the same agent, but our manager is Monique, our agent is Caroline. She's with the characters.
Yeah.
So that's how that works. So yeah, that's it.
So, I think we can open the floor to questions now. We have Jeremy's got a microphone over here.
Yeah.
And do we have, you got a microphone on that side too? Okay, so we can alternate. If you have questions, why don't we have you come up each aisle, form a line in each aisle. Now, I'm just thinking, hold on, how about we do the outside aisle so it doesn't block the visual of all the people in the other aisle? Yeah, sorry about that.
Ring around the roses, everyone. Conga line.
I always feel bad for the people sitting in these seats. They're great seats until the line forms, and then it's like a wall.
Once upon a line at BronyCon.
So, and also just one thing we would love is that if there are any children, if you wouldn't mind, we'd like to let them go to the front of the line.
What's a child?
Okay?
Blind children.
Haha.
I don't know.
Ages.
Children win.
12 and under?
It's 15.
12 and under, let's say. Yeah. Okay, Jeremy? Okay, we'll start on this end, sorry. Go ahead.
How do you get subscribers on YouTube?
Sorry, sweetie, just one second. You guys missed the first question. Was
I'm
there-
sorry. Hi.
She said, how do you get subscribers on YouTube?
People click the subscribe button.
Okay,
so,
by the way.
so
Let's
not
turn this question over to Gabe.
Yes, Gabe's got the most subscribers, so let's let him do it.
Well, as a professional subscriber haver,
I guess the way I did it is I just put out a lot of content and always stuff that I would want to see. You know what I mean? Something that I would find interesting, that I, unbiasedly as possible, felt like I would want to watch. but I didn't limit myself to just one type of thing. I think a lot of people feel like they need to stick to like one theme with their channel, and while theming is important, you don't necessarily have to limit yourself to that particular theme. So something that interests you also, is important, because if you're not enjoying it, you won't be motivated to continue to do more of it. So yeah, put out content. Quality is important, quantity is also important, but don't sacrifice one for the other. Yeah, and then the videos that get the most popular, if you really want a lot of subscribers, and that's your goal, do learn from the videos that are the most popular and try to make more videos like that. Don't copy it, but try to figure out what made that video popular, why people liked it, and do more videos like that. And eventually, it does take time. I mean, I built up 100,000 subs over like 5 years, or 4 or 5 years. It does take time, but it's an exponential increase, if you understood any of that.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Because we have a child over here, we'll go back to this side. Sorry.
Sorry.
How did you get involved with the Brony fandom?
That's an excellent question. I
Well-
was lying in bed one day, and a brilliant white light shined down on me from above. I actually kind of accidentally, which I think probably happens with most people, I ran across a clip that she's an evil enchantress, she does romances, and I was like, that's kind of funny. And then I forgot about it. And then later I saw some fan art of Gilda, and I'm like, ooh, I like ripoff. And I was like, this is that same show, isn't it? So I watched that episode, and they made Gilda bad, and that made me upset. But then I recalled She's an Evil Enchantress. I was like, well, that's not the same episode. So I looked up that one, and I watched that one, and I was like, this is really funny. And I guess I grew up not liking My Little Pony because my sisters liked it, and so therefore it was automatically way too girly for me.
That's the
But-
guy who wanted a big old gold necklace for
Yeah,
his
well, okay,
birthday.
I was like 8 then. All right. When I was 10 and mature, I had grown out of that. So yeah, but I still, I didn't, it was kind of coincidental that I started making art based off of the show at the same time, and it's because I had just discovered vectors, programs for making vectors. And I'm like, what should I draw? Oh, just to be funny, I'll draw Fluttershy for the show, and see if that, garners a reaction. And people really liked it, and that's when I found out about bronies. I didn't know. And I still didn't really understand what they were until I came to BronyCon in 2013 after writing Proud to Be Brony, performed with Michelle, and then I was kind of like, dang. And it just kind of kept going ever since then. So yeah, I hope that sort of answered your question. I don't even remember what I said.
How did I get started in the Brony?
No, how did you learn about the family?
Well, well, no, that wasn't exactly the question, but I'll change it.
Oh.
No, because that's what makes sense to me. I mean, it's kind of obvious why I'm part of the fandom. But yeah, the first time I learned about bronies was, I think, 2011 maybe. About a year, I think, after like the first session for the show happened. Around like the end of season 1. And I think a producer, Jason, just came into DHX one day and was like, hey, have you guys heard about bronies? I'm like, sorry, what? What is that? And he started talking about them. We're like, okay. So go home, look it up. All right, that's, okay, I guess maybe it's a joke or something, who knows, but it sounds cool. And then I think like a week or so later, I got this letter from a fan who's here actually. His name's Tim Groffner. We call him First Fan Timmy. And yeah, he sent me this whole letter and said, I really like your character, it really inspires me, I love the show. And I was like, oh, look at this little kid. I am 17 years old.
No, he wasn't. No, he was 15 or 14. Yeah.
Oh, well, either way, I was like, oh, okay. That's all right, okay. And then, yeah, from then on, I just learned
Tim
more
in the
and more
room?
about it, and of course, I love
Okay,
him.
yeah, okay. He was there last night.
Oh, and I,
Probably sleeping.
I've just had the pleasure of going to, this is my 29th convention, technically. Yeah, so,
3 of those were on like
Yeah, 3
Skype
of them were
calls
on Skype
with
calls.
Moscow and
and
Czech Republic and
And
Japan were Skype calls,
Yeah.
but the other 26 we did in person.
pretty crazy.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Alright, so I always sent Gabe music whenever I was finished producing songs, and I produced a song, and I was like, oh hey Gabe, here's some garbage, like I don't want it. So I would just send it to him, and Gabe found this one track he really liked. He was okay. He said, hey, can I have this? I said, sure.
Dan's version of garbage is like gold.
It is actually
to us.
garbage. And I sent it to him, and he was like, I'm gonna sing on it. I was like, okay. And then he sent it back to me, and it was Proud to Be a Brony.
I told you what I was doing.
I know, but I was kind of like, what is this all about? And then I came home, and you told me to turn a dubstep song I made into a pony song with some samples, and I made dash step, and in like 5 minutes, just kind of threw it together. And then it like blew up, and I was like, okay, this thing is legit. And then I came to BronyCon 2013 just to kind of see what it was all about. Met you for the first time, and I saw that like Gabe was like famous. I was like, what the heck? My whole world had like turned completely upside down. It's like, how is this possible? I'm just I always knew he would be famous one day, just not that soon.
Well, and for me, it was around the same time as Michelle. I had heard from the producers that there was a fandom building up, so I just did my own research right away as the mom of a 10-year-old that was on the show. And there were some big articles at that time, and when she started getting fan mail and a lot of followers, I started researching like crazy, so I spent a lot of time online. And then they sent the first convention invitation to Everfree Northwest in 2012, I guess. And I was, my husband and I were really like, should we take a picture of this? Is this something we should take the child to? And we really looked into it and thought, yeah, we're going to try it. And it was an amazing experience, and that's why we keep coming back. It's always been very positive. So, thanks to
Being a Broadway and music lover and probably wanting to compose my own music someday, to your own opinion, what's the most difficult thing about composing and producing original music?
I think that actually depends on the person. I find the most difficult thing to be the arranging. Some of my songs, Table Your Equestria, Dash Step, the Fusion Remix of Proud to Be a Brony, and Beat It, those are songs that I arranged. Oh no, not Dash Step. Dash is Dreaming. That's the one. You did Dash Step, sorry. But yeah, those are ones that I produced and arranged. And I found that to be the most difficult part because I don't like the software. I fight with it. Because I get an idea of the sound that I want, and if I can't get it, well, I get it. It just takes a long time. And I find lyrics kind of semi-difficult because I'm picky about that too, and vocals, but I'm more comfortable with that because I've been doing it for longer. So that's the part I kind of naturally fall into and want to do, whereas I'm sure Nathaniel would probably say he would have a harder time and more frustrating time doing lyrics and vocals, probably vocals overall. Even though he's good at it and he can do it, he prefers to produce because that's his passion, that's his forte, and he's really good at it, way better at it than me. So that's kind of how we teamed up. So yeah, I think it just really depends on the person.
Definitely focus on your strengths. Like if you're a pianist or if you're a guitarist or if you have any sort of instrumental background, use that. Absolutely, that's guitarist or violin. Violin, awesome. Use violin. You know what I mean? To build melodies, to build the top line, to do every like start with where you're comfortable because otherwise you're just going to get intimidated by your brain because you have all these ideas running around your head and you can't get it out on the computer.
It's okay to try new things, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely try new stuff, but start where you're comfortable because it helps you build off of that. I think it's probably the best way to go.
Thank you.
What's your favorite part about acting or singing?
Favorite part?
Yeah.
My favorite part is hearing from people that the performance made, that our performance, whatever it is, had some kind of positive impact for someone's day or someone's life or someone's minute or hour, whatever. Just if it gave something positive back to something else, that's really to somebody else. I mean, that's really rewarding.
I think another great thing about being an entertainer is if you're passionate about it, you get to do something that's really fun and that you love. I mean, it's really, really cool career if you can be successful in it, and if you are truly passionate about it, it's a beautiful thing. So.
Yeah, and I think my favorite thing, I mean, while I love doing the singing and the recording and stuff, my favorite thing is when it gets released, watching it back and reading the feedback and the comments and the things people have to say. That's the thing I look forward to the most. That's what drives me to keep producing my own stuff, at least.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. Hello.
Hi there. I had a question that's a little bit upside down, I suppose. I wanted to know if you had any advice for people looking to hire voice actors, any common failures they make. Or...
You mean you were looking to hire voice actors?
Right.
And are you working wanting them to submit their things, or do you have a studio and you want to bring people into the studio?
Studio, basically.
And what city are you in?
Over in basically New Orleans.
In New Orleans area. Oh, well, that's your neck of the woods. I mean, generally speaking, you would, it depends on whether you have a budget and a breakdown. Like if you're just looking for people to voice act a personal project versus a series or something like that, can you expand on that?
Specifically, I was thinking about games and animation voiceovers.
Right.
And I was just wondering in general, like, do most employers make comments on things?
Yeah, okay, well, if you're doing things like that, the thing to do would be to look up who the talent agencies are in New Orleans and that area, the legitimate talent agencies, and you can look up online what a breakdown looks like, and you just put out a breakdown to them that you're looking to hire this, and they will then tell you how to, then they will submit talent. And you can, nowadays, you can ask for a lot of your auditions, you can ask for them to be as MP3s, that people submit them, and then you could do some callbacks in person, or just cast from those original MP3s. But if you're, the big thing would be to find out who the talent agencies are in your area.
You actually don't have to go through that, though. If you don't want to contact.
No, that's right. You do the online stuff, but that's why.
No, there are. If you don't necessarily need local talent, you can submit breakdowns to websites like Voices 123, and people will audition from everywhere, all over the world. Or you can limit the audition to only be viewed by people in your area. You can go through, managers or agents, local agents, and you'll probably maybe get fewer auditions of better quality, but you don't need to go that route. You can submit an audition on the internet with your budget visible right there, and you can say, this is what the audition is for, these are the lines, and this is what I'll pay if you get cast, and people will just audition. Because I send people to Voices 123 all the time when they ask how to get into voice acting, and it's the same thing if you want to look for voice actors. So that's
another option, yeah.
What is the most challenging part of working in the industry, and how do you overcome that challenge?
The most challenging part of working in the industry, and how do you overcome it?
Oh, rejection. There's a lot of rejection, and it's really hard to stay confident with yourself. Yeah, I used to struggle with that a lot. Recently, though, I've gained a lot of self-confidence. Because you just have to realize that a lot of the stuff you can't take personally. I mean, especially with like film and TV, because they're looking for such a specific look, wow, they're looking for a look. And, even though if you're the best for the job, you might not get it just because the, director wanted her son to play it. Wow, wait, that sounded like they would cast a boy from a role that I was auditioning for. Who knows? There's so many biases, and there's just so much crap that goes on that you don't know about.
What you said about the look, though, a lot of times you don't get it because they've cast the mother already, and they need somebody to, it comes down to, okay, well, that child looks more like that woman than this one does, so they're cast based on their, whether they could be part of the family.
So yeah, you just kind of have to, find out who you are and stay confident in yourself, and don't let rejection get to you.
Everybody, even everyone on My Little Pony, for every one audition you book, you've probably done 20 to 50 that you didn't book, because a lot of people submit. So everyone gets rejected, and it just takes a while to get used to. Don't get your hopes up too much on an audition, because the odds are you won't book it.
Even if you feel like you aced it, you often don't get it.
Oh yeah, I thought for sure I did that. A couple days ago, I was like, oh, I know that. Well.
And back to
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Great.
All right, I'm sorry. So I'm just wondering, is there a way to get to official voice acting without, traveling so long, like, outside of the state? Because, I don't have the time to travel that long.
Well, you don't normally, you mean travel like we're traveling here? Or
No, I mean, like, basically, I am asking, like, is there a way to basically send the message of your voice acting talent, without catching a bus or train or driving?
well, if you go through the web, I mean, if you do online work, like through the website that Gabe was just talking about, the Voices123 or Voices.com, those two sites are examples, then you can do it with your own home setup. But if you're wanting representation and you're wanting to be able to go into auditions, then the reality is you need to be based in a city where that industry is happening. And then you need to find representation and then be available to go in for that. But it is completely possible to do online stuff without going anywhere outside of your own home computer and microphone.
I mean, it's just, I I travel, but not every single day. Like, not like every, moment of my life. I mean, I do other things.
Right.
Yeah, in my case,
yeah.
Because I've been staying in Arizona for quite some time now, several months. And I don't work out of Arizona, I audition out of Arizona. If I book a gig though, I have to fly to wherever it's recording. Usually that's Vancouver, so that means traveling, for several hours. However, I can fly to Vancouver 3 times a month, and it'll cost me the same as if I actually lived there, because rent in Vancouver is extremely expensive. So for those kind of gigs, like for example, My Little Pony only records out of Dick and Rogers in Vancouver. You can't record anywhere else unless you are, a huge talent like Tara Strong or Al Yankovic, and you're recording out of an equally good studio in LA. You can't send in from your home studio or patch in if you're recording on a show like that. You have to travel to those studios. But there are gigs, smaller gigs, where you can record with your home setup. But yeah, if you're going to book something big, you will likely have to travel to that studio.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, mine basically kind of bounces off the test, because I was going to basically ask you almost the same question. But I do voices as well, and I can do them online. But I'm trying to find out what's the best way to find, agents online or agents locally, or just basically find anyone that's wanting to actually hire voice actors, because in my state of North Carolina, there's not really a lot of local agents or people out looking for voice actors.
Yeah, well, that is the problem, that is the challenge. If the industry doesn't, I don't know much about what's in North Carolina, but if it doesn't exist there, that industry in a big way, then there probably aren't agents representing there, and you don't need an agent to do the online work. So you can do the online work independently or relocate to places that have more of an industry, I would say. Yeah, you guys agree with that?
The reason why I asked is because I also asked Terry Klass and Andrea Lippman, Nicole Oliver, and Kelly Short over at BASCON, and they said basically it's going to cost money, but you're going to have to move no matter what.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, unless you, other than doing the independent online stuff, that's true.
Right. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And also, I'm just looking at the line, we'd really like to get through all of you.
Yes,
So
we're going to try
probably
to
just pick up the pace a bit now.
Yeah, that's on us though.
Yeah. And I caught you good. I'm sorry.
Thank you. This is primarily for the ladies, but the entire group can help out. I do Transparency International as a hobby, and I work with people who have trouble projecting. What are some of the suggestions that you have, especially for the ladies, so that they can help project as part of their presentation skills?
Michelle?
I'm not more of a voice coach, so you probably have a better answer for this.
I would just say the number one thing I would recommend from all the coaching I've done is, where'd he go? Is diction. Really working them on the diction part of things, because I find that the clean diction is almost more important than, well, first of all, it helps with projection, but I find that it really helps a lot more with people hearing than anything else, because a lot of people don't realize that they're not speaking clearly, and then if there's a performance involved, then it's even worse. Gabe, you're great at projecting, though. Do you have anything to add?
I am? Yeah, I don't know. Aside from just form, for me, speaking from the diaphragm, breathing, from the diaphragm, not raising your shoulders when you breathe, really helps with projection. And then I guess speaking in your range. I don't know. I find that a lot of people don't actually use their voice the way that it was kind of made to be used. They kind of talk down here, and they don't realize how quiet it is yet. So, I don't know, but the problem is I think I've always been projecting.
Yeah.
Usually people are telling me to shut up.
I think Gabe, shut up. Next question.
All right, so big fan of all of your Michael Jackson covers. I want to know, do you have plans for any more or any other covers currently in the works?
We don't have current plans, but anything could happen.
Yeah, who knows?
We're huge fans of Michael Jackson, and there are songs I would love to do for Michael Jackson. I got a lot of requests from Man in the Mirror. But for the moment, we don't have anything. We're still working on releasing the songs from Getting Stronger onto YouTube. So that will be going on for a while. Michelle's going to do some for original stuff too, and Nathaniel and I are going to be working on some new stuff as well. But anything could happen in the future.
All options are on the table.
Yes.
Hi. My question has to do with how to overcome social anxiety and shyness when you want to pursue voice acting.
Well, the beauty of voice acting is that you don't have to do it in front of people most of the time. So, I guess one good way is to just practice recording yourself and listening to yourself, and when you get used to kind of hearing yourself and confident in how you sound, it'll be less scary submitting those things. And really, Chris Hadfield said something that I think is really relevant. If you have anxiety or fear of something, the only, or maybe not the only way, but the best way to get rid of it is to just expose yourself to it. Step out of your comfort zone. Spend more time around people. You won't necessarily like it at first, but if you really want to get over social anxiety, you have to put yourself out there, like you're doing right now. He described it in terms of like walking through a spider web. He said, most people are afraid of spiders, but odds are, if you live where he lives in Canada, the only poisonous spider is the black widow, and they don't make webs in the woods. So he said, if you're walking through the woods and you see a spider web, walk through it, and keep doing that, because eventually you'll get over that, primal reaction, and so it's just train yourself out of it. So yeah,
you're looking at James before extroverts, except me. I'm an extreme introvert. I was always that way, so I'm very, very shy, and it's pretty obvious. Just my online presence is very minimal, just because I don't like being around people. I don't have to be. So I understand that. It's definitely something you got to work through, but it's a lot about, most introverts, I'm sure you have a few friends that are very, very close to you. Let them listen to your stuff as well. Once you get comfortable and confident with yourself, let them listen to it and let them, compliment you. Because a lot of it has to do with those really few people that are close to you. So that's how we operate.
Yeah, he was better to answer that.
Just don't do it. No, but my instinct as a coach would have been the Chris Hadfield route. Just step out of your comfort zone. Get involved in the theater production and musicals, or if you're interested in singing, otherwise it could just be theater. But yeah, just immerse yourself so that it doesn't become so. If it's only a couple of times a year or even less, it's the spiderweb thing. Just keep doing it. I would go with that and try to get yourself desensitized to it.
Well, be setting up 300 spider webs in the back.
Great question.
Thank you. That's our
Hi there, a big fan of your music. I'm just wondering if you had any advice for recording at home, particularly in areas that people might tend to overlook.
Recording vocals or?
So stuff like vocals and guitar, that sort of thing.
Sound dampening is something that's overlooked. Make sure that you have a good area that there's no echo. Don't record in the bathroom, even though it sounds much better to your ear. So recording in your closet is very helpful. If there's clothes in there, if your closet is empty, then that's just like a bathroom. Sometimes under the blankets is good. Having a good mic, and I always recommend the Audio-Technica AT2020 for people starting out. It's a large diaphragm cardioid condenser.
We're working on an endorsement contract for you.
I know. It's USB, so no interface is required. It plugs right into your computer, and it's studio quality. It's really nice, and it's a good all-around mic.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Hello. First question for Michelle, because I'm such a huge fan. Do you ever watch or look up blogs or videos starring your character? Like fan videos or fan blogs or anything that star Applewood?
I don't go on the internet and sort of search myself. I get sent a lot of things, however, and I like to watch those as much as possible so I can respond to you guys, because a lot of the times, people want me to watch these things that they created, and I think it's fabulous. Some of the artwork and fan fiction, all that kind of stuff is incredible.
Music.
Music and dancing. Dancing Chris.
All right, fair enough. Now my actual question is for all of you. It sounded from what you were talking about earlier that you all got into the industry when you were very young. So for anyone who wasn't that lucky, like myself, do you have any advice or contrasting information that would help anyone who didn't start when they were young?
Yeah, everybody, I'll just say this, I've coached people of all ages, from very young to even seniors, like older seniors, and I will just say this, that I firmly believe and live by the motto that it is never too late. And I've seen people progress no matter what age they start at. It will be harder. There's Chris. I see him now. It will be harder. The older that you are and the more that you haven't done it, it's just more that you have to work through, because it's more years of having not done it where you might have to retrain your brain or body to work in a new way. So it will be more challenging, possibly, or it could just be there ready to come up.
Because even though I started at a young age in the industry, none of my connections from when I was younger came into play when I started working in Vancouver. It just was the experience that I gained. So it's not necessarily that you need to build a connection over tens of thousands of years.
I don't even think he's speaking of connections, or
I know, but I'm just clarifying.
Okay, yeah.
This helps too.
Yeah.
And
But also, like we look at Alan Rickman, I mean, he's a huge star. He started later in life, didn't he?
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think it's good to start off young, super young, quite honestly. I think it's good to train, but to actually be immersed in an entire profession is toxic sometimes.
Yeah, look at Justin Bieber.
And he's one of the more mild examples.
There's a lot.
I think you have really, to be an entertainer, you have to have a strong sense of self and know who you can actually trust. And if you can't know that when you're young, even at my age, I don't think you can know that, really. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it has a lot of risks, for sure.
Are you saying we have 4 minutes left? Okay, yeah, we
let's
have to
go.
speed it up. I'm sorry. No problem.
So I've done about five songs, about 5-6 years ago with several others, rap hip hop genre. And I kind of dropped it, but around September, October last year, I decided to try and pick it up again. What would you say would be great to really get back into doing music?
For production? Production based?
Just in general.
Yeah, so if you're getting back into music, the first thing you need to do is you need to listen to it. You need to listen to how much music has changed. You'd be surprised. I mean, I don't know if you're constantly listening to what's coming out now, but a big part of what I do is listening to what people are listening to. Because if you want to write successful music, you have to not sacrifice what you do and what makes you original, but you have to be able to create what people are listening to in order to have a bigger audience. So definitely take elements of what you're hearing on the radio. You know, Drake is huge right now. So take some of his producers, look up his producers, people who write for him, and start creating your beats off of that, and that'll get your foot in the door, like, you know, a lot. Your foot in the door. When, you know, it'll really help you, you know, get above people who've been writing for all these years already. So.
And also any specific music programs?
Yeah, pick a DAW and stick with it. FL Studio, Ableton, Pro Tools, Logic, whatever you happen to be having, whatever you use right now, or whatever you used 5 years ago, stick with it, because it's much better to be comfortable with something than to jump into something new that you don't understand and take a couple of years to learn it. But I'll be putting tutorials up on my channel in a few months, and I'll be giving away free sample packs. So just, if you check me out, I'll help you out with that.
Okay, thank you.
And I have a quick question. Since we started a bit late, can we go a little longer, or do we have to get into the room? Yes? Okay, so I'd just like to quickly get through these. Okay, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, this question is for Michelle.
Hi.
First of all, your voice sounds like the angels. And my question for you is, whenever you're singing in concert, do you like get really nervous that you know you start shaking and your voice sounds a bit shaky? Shaky, because that has happened to me once when I was in high school. So yeah.
Yeah. You know, honestly, I really don't get nervous anymore. I'm not sure if that's just because I've been on stage a lot. But I really stress like having self-confidence, because even like first BronyCon, I probably was nervous a little bit to go on the stage, like with the concert we did last night. But you know, when we did the concert, wow, I can't talk at all. I'm like actually falling asleep up here. I'm like, wait. No, yeah, last night, you know, I don't even think about it anymore. I just kind of go up and do my thing. And if you have fun and if you're not stressed, then the audience won't be stressed and have a good time. So
basically, she's walked through a lot of spider webs. That does happen.
It's true.
Thank you.
Hi, my question is for someone who is looking to get their hoof in the door, when is it best to obtain an agent and/or manager? How does one go about doing so? And then secondly, what are some pitfalls to look out for until one obtains said agent and/or manager?
The number one thing I would say is if they are wanting to charge you money, they are not legitimate. Agents and managers, typically, especially agents, but also managers, as it applies, that they earn a percentage of what you earn because they already believe in your talent and that you'll be able to work. There are a lot of
you don't work for them.
Yeah, they're supposed to work for you, and there are a lot of people out there that prey on, or companies that prey on people's dreams, and will say, hey, we'll get you in front of these casting directors and these opportunities and get you working. All you have to do is sign up for this $3,000 photo package and you're good to go. No, if they're asking you for any money other than maybe like there's one thing, they may tell you that you have to join an online directory that the casting agencies, that might be $30 or $40, but you don't pay it to them, you sign up yourself and have to be on there. Other than that, yeah, casting, well, there's a few now, but yeah, casting workbook is the one I was thinking of. And other than that, they shouldn't be charging you. So that's the number one pitfall to be aware of. I forget what the first part was. So was there,
and when to go about searching for an agent/manager, and then kind of vaguely how to do so.
Right. That's a more complicated answer, so maybe we could catch you after for that part, if you don't mind.
Sounds good to me. Thank you very much.
Hey, Chris. Hey. How you doing? Doing good. My question is, what is your advice on trying to overcome being too harsh or too critical on yourself?
That's going to be difficult.
What you have to realize is that people are not as judgmental as you think they are. In it that when you are in a group of people, everyone's thinking about themselves. Everyone's thinking, it's not in a selfish way, I'm just saying like, people are thinking, oh, what is that person, oh my gosh, like they're looking at me, they're thinking about me. Meanwhile, that person's thinking, oh my gosh, they're looking at me, you know, oh, what am I doing? And even people that pretend, you know, they're judging you and critiquing you, really that just, you know, that shows that they're, you know, not confident in themselves. So I think you just, yeah, you have to realize that, you know, don't be hard on yourself because other people aren't as hard on you as you think they are. I don't know.
And if they are judging you and saying negative things, whether that's family, friends, or whatever, don't listen to them.
Yeah.
Go get feedback from other people who are encouraging.
Because unfortunately, criticism does stick with us a lot more than compliments. I mean, I personally, I can remember almost all the nasty things people said to me online, word for word, and you tend to kind of forget about the compliments, but it's important to try to remember that most people believe in you. Most people do, you know? And the people who don't, a lot of times it just comes down to insecurity. So, yeah, I guess.
Thanks, Chris.
Hi there.
Hello.
I want to encourage my daughter singing without being oppressive or pushy, but sometimes people get discouraged and want to quit. How do you know when to push and when to take a step back?
That's a great question.
Mom, answer.
Yeah.
She's a
When to put your
professional.
step back. Yeah, that's sometimes it's hard to know, but I think the number one thing is, you know, setting up the goals together. You can't put your own goals on them. You have to try to find out what the end thing is. Do your research on how they might get there. But when they've committed to something, there were times when Michelle would, you know, sign up for a dance class and then decide she didn't like it or something. And if she committed to it, I didn't let her drop out of something that would let other people down. We'd say, you don't have to do it next year, but this was what you decided for this year. And that would sometimes push through those little moments of, I don't know if I want to do this, you know. But not forcing them to take something they really don't want to do, finding out what the goals are, and then sitting down and going, okay, how are we gonna get there? And this is what we're committing to this month, this year, this week, whatever, and going through with it. Trying little workshops or camps too are a great way to experiment to see if they like that direction. Thank you. Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
So you guys mentioned that you were in musical theater. I know Michelle was in Annie. So my question to you is, what straight play or musical, past or current, would you like to either see or perform in?
Joseph. I'd love to perform at Joseph. That'd be so much fun. Or Wicked.
Well, in the fall, I'm going to New York to see the musical that Sarah Bareilles wrote the music for with Mom.
Called Waitress.
Yeah, called Waitress.
Yeah, that's Sarah's her idol. So.
Yeah.
I really want to see Hamilton. I've been hearing so much about it.
Hi there. My name's Kevin, and I've been a fan of all three of you guys. And first of all, I was wondering, my birthday's in a couple days, and I was wondering if I can get a happy birthday wish from Apple Bloom.
Sure. What's your name?
Kevin.
Kevin? Happy birthday, Kevin! Buy some apples?
I do love apples. My second question is, you see, I'm trying to become a YouTube musician myself. I know I'd probably never be as good as you guys, but all I have is my Nikon camera, my MacBook Air, but my only problem is I'm really tone deaf. Is there anything I can use on my computer that would make me sound better?
Vocal-wise? Yeah. Just remember your vocal cords are muscles and they need to be exercised. And what's that?
Can I alter it with a computer?
Oh, sure, yeah.
You can alter vocals for days, man. You can have it at it. You don't have to be able to sing a note and you can sound great. You know, Justin Bieber again, you know? Here it comes again. Mentioning twice on the piano. No, definitely, I mean, yeah, you can process your voice if that's the kind of music you're doing, and it's not hard to do, just Google.
Playing the big pony parodies.
Oh yeah, definitely. Then Google some online tuning software, Antares, Melodyne, both amazing and pretty cheap too. So
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for letting us ask you these questions. So, all of you have really impressive musical chops going a long way back. I have some musical background, my kids have some, but not anything like that. So how important is musical aptitude or musical training on doing voiceover and voice acting? Is it a necessity? Because you see a lot of things that aren't as musical as ponies, but it might really help to be able to understand music, to do things with your voice. How critical?
Sorry?
How critical?
Well, it's not incredibly critical. You can obviously book voice acting roles without, having any singing abilities. But it's
They said we could go over this.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
It's a great skill to have on your belt, though. You know, it just it opens more doors for you. You know, having. Oh, we do need to have you. Yeah, no, I would say it's not critical, but I think it's a really good have.
It just makes you more bookable if you can do more things, but it's not critical.
But yeah, there are VAs who don't sing.
Okay, really quick. Sorry,
Thank
guys.
you.
Hi. Question for all four of you. What are you more afraid of? Snakes, spiders, or clowns?
Clowns.
What? Oh, snakes.
2 snakes, 2 clowns. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, the mutated spider snake clown.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What would you do if you had a quality microphone but your recording still sounds distorted or something?
Sorry, we couldn't hear that.
If we have a quality microphone but our recording sound distorted, is that what you said?
Well, it could be a multitude of things. It could be the recording software that you're recording into. It could be the interface. If you're using a mic with an XLR, is it a USB mic or is it an XLR mic? Do you know?
Like a headset.
Oh, okay. That's probably a gain issue. 8-inch jack or a gain issue. And the best thing to do, I always tell people to turn the gain down. People always crank it too much and then there's clipping. And that normally is what causes distortion.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Last question. Thank you so much.
You made it.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Do you guys hate your voice when you hear it play back?
Yes.
I assume everyone does. And how do you kind of find your place to, like I can play an apple bloom, for example, and how do I find what kind of characters I can voice? Do you understand my question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't hate my voice anymore.
Get used to it.
You get used to it.
Yeah.
Spiderweb. But how do you find your Apple Bloom? You create your character. I mean, Apple Bloom was Michelle's voice before it was Apple Bloom, and before My Little Pony. If she just did this voice, no one would recognize it and know what it was. That was just her voice. So, you know, you get cast. Yeah, that's the sound of voice. No, I mean, you get cast for the unique sound that you present, and sometimes people will like it and hire it. Sometimes people won't like it and they'll hire someone else. But if you have something unique to bring to the table, something different that hasn't been done before, eventually you will be the person that people are going, oh, how do I find my Jonathan voice or whatever.
Yeah, but when you're putting in your resume, I'm not very big into the whole thing, I'm just trying to get into it. But you know, if they're looking for someone, how can you say, this is the type of character I can voice? So when they're looking for that, you know what to look for, you know?
Well, they give a description, and you have to do your best to come up with a voice that you think matches the description, and it's just a shot. Everybody puts in their best thing, and sometimes they don't even know what they're looking for. They hear it, they go, that's it, that's what I want that character to sound like. They just give a written description.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, guys, just want to let you know we're doing one more signing session with CDs and merchandise and autographs and everything and photographs in the hall from 1 to 3. You've been awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.